my friends, all the friends of Cosmic Agency. I'm Gosha. I am very excited as finally I have here for you the first video of the series of videos. I think it's going to be 4 parts or maybe even more, but for now I have planned 4 videos about the topic of the Federation. Now, the topic of Federation is huge. And the topic of the Federation is huge because the Federation as the organization is huge, complex, multi-layered, multi-level, multi-density. So here you're going to have various points through which you can view this whole topic of the Federation and how they relate to Earth. So what we say about the Federation will always depend on the context through which we are looking. Because just as here we have so many people and so many points of view, the Federation includes so many races, hundreds of different races and people within the races, and each one of those people have different points of view and perspectives. There are different factions and opinions. So this is a huge subject. We already made some videos about the Federation about a year ago, and I'm going to include in the description box below all those videos where the Federation was already mentioned, if you want to expand your view on what they are and what their deal is here with Earth. Now, talking about this specific series now, it's going to be divided into 4 parts, like I said. The first part today is going to be presented by Swaruu X, and it's going to be about the structure of the Federation, its goals and functions in space, then its goals and functions in a great summary regarding to affairs on Earth, then different races, tasks and their departments, what they do, also in a great summary. Then Taygeta involvement with the Federation throughout the time, what they do together, what they did together, and why their relationship has deteriorated. You'll understand here in more detail what exactly happened, something that I actually didn't know myself. Towards the end of the video, there's going to be a short conversation with Aneka that actually I had last year, just to show you a little bit of the conversation where she was already complaining about the Federation. We have had issues, and they have had issues with the Federation, mainly for years now. The Federation has never liked what Swaruu, what Taygetans were doing, and here you understand more why. And that conversation with Aneka will also show you how frustrated they were already with all these Federation affairs. The second video that will follow this one is going to be also very important and very interesting, where you'll understand how the Federation views Earth, how they think, how they view the concept of suffering on Earth, what this whole experience is about from their perspective. And then you'll see in the same video, number 2, why Swaruu, Yaski and the Taygetans do not agree with that perception and why they have so many differences of opinion here, and even call those factions of the Federation regressive. So you understand all this in the video number 2. In the video number 3, very important video as well, you must watch it, we'll mention CIA, Cabal, how it all relates to the Federation. Does it? How it all relates to the possible false flag extraterrestrial invasion, and how it relates to the community of ufologists. So watch that video, it's going to be very important as well. And then number 4, it's going to be a mix of different chats, continuing to deepen this whole subject of the Federation, because it is so huge, it never ends, the topic is just immense. So I'm going to leave you with the video, enjoy it. I'm going to see you for a very last comment at the end.
United Federation of Planets. Overview. Functions. Goals in space. The Federation, also called or known as United Federation of Planets, using human terms, is a very large, multicultural, multi-planet, and multi-density organization, founded right after the Great Expansion from Lyra, where many human-looking races were being persecuted by sauroid regressive species, as the history goes. It was founded by 3 main species: Andromedans, Arcturians, and Illyrians, represented by the 3 main bright stars in the Federation's logo, although there are many other races who can also be considered as founders. Its main goal is to establish alliances to face threats and problems in space, and it can be considered as an expansion of the original organization Andromedans already had, known as Andromeda Council, to include multiple races, all with the purpose of establishing trade and safety agreements and treaties. The Federation is officially supposed to be a large super-organization to ensure peace and good interactions between its members, and even ensure the best way possible to manage other people or races who are not official members, such as lesser races who are still in a pre-industrial stage. Just about any interstellar species could apply to wanting to be a member, as long as they were interstellar and a progressive, respectful race with clear wishes to get along and cooperate with the others already included in the Federation. As said above, the Federation's main role is to bring together like-minded civilizations and cultures of all species so they can cooperate, interact in a safe and progressive, productive way, giving them all a frame of legal, ethical, and moral rules to follow to guarantee as much as possible a peaceful relationship between its members. One of the main requirements to join the Federation as a species is to be interstellar, although there are some exceptions. The idea is that when a species is interstellar, it naturally is aware of cultural, scientific, and technological advances among the others, as well as the moral and ethical implications of such advances in all shapes and forms. Knowing that being interstellar also means that they have a clear cross-cultural sharing effect among the members. And non-interstellar civilizations would essentially be isolated and into their own realm or reality, with little to no cross-cultural influence with the exterior. So it was taken as ethically correct to limit as much as possible all contact with said non-interstellar cultures and civilizations. There are some exceptions to this rule, as happens with civilizations that are not interstellar by choice, but do hold clear interstellar knowledge, past, and wisdom. So from the point of view of their minds and consciousness, those civilizations would also be considered as interstellar, even if they are physically confined to their specific planet or planets. Although the Federation refers to the system or the organization found in what could be called 5D for lack of a better reference, in reality, it transcends densities as such, so the Federation can be found in just about all densities, all interconnected and influencing all levels. Some could say that the Federation can be found from 3D all the way up to 9D and above, using very humanized terms. Because from my point of view, there are no densities as such, and what people are calling a density is no other than a set of levels within a gradient of consciousness and awareness held by a specific individual or by agreements within a group of individuals. And from the perception point of view, especially but not only of individuals holding a lower or lesser expanded level of consciousness awareness, people and their realms, worlds, holding a higher grade of the same consciousness awareness are not only incomprehensible from that lower point of understanding, but essentially invisible to them as well. Basically because they don't have the awareness level necessary to even decode or understand what may very well be right in front of them, therefore creating the idea of higher realms, higher densities, and however they may be catalogued. So, taking into account the above, the Federation by nature exists in all levels or realms of existence, however they may be called, with the obvious changes within each structure depending on what is needed for each level of awareness understanding. The Federation's internal structure is that of a holographic society with a classical Andromedan step council layout, where a series of councils, starting from local small ones, like the ones pertaining to a small town, make up larger councils of a whole region, and those in turn of a larger region, planet, or group of planets, or even constellations. They are usually made up of citizens from the area of said specific council. And when a specific problem cannot be resolved by one level, they immediately seek help from the immediate council in the more expanded level above them. And so on, after the necessary mind power and resources are achieved to be able to resolve whatever problem is at hand. As would be expected, to each member, be it a single individual or a whole civilization or group of civilizations, the Federation will appoint a task or tasks in according to their capacity and expertise. So, inside the Federation, within the members, some races will be more into distributing food and material resources, others science and technological research and advances, and yet others defense and military operations set with the mission to guard and protect the members, as well as to enforce the Federation's rules and laws as agreed by Council. Federation's law is also roughly known as space law, and it is nearly identical to what in Earth is called maritime law. Most probably, Earth's maritime law concepts were seeded by Federation members somehow and at some point. Functions and goals with regards to Earth. I could write an entire book trying to explain what they are doing with Earth, their goals and objectives. And it very well could be considered to be the very core and reason of all this communication in general. But keeping it as simple as possible, there can be many ways to interpret what the Federation is doing on Earth and its objectives. And being an extreme complex subject, all aspects cannot be considered here all at once. Also needing to mention that many may appear to cancel others out or be apparently contradictory in nature. The Federation has isolated Earth as a self-contained, technologically isolated by a high-energy dome, and mentally, information-wise isolated planetary realm, artificially kept in a lower state of consciousness and awareness to ensure a certain type of experience for the people or inhabitants within it. Although the etherical electromagnetic dome known as Van Allen belt, not to be confused with magnetosphere, but they are related, helps to keep the Earth realm in a certain lower frequency of awareness perception necessary to guarantee the desired experience for its inhabitants. The main system or cause with which the Federation keeps Earth in such a specific frequency of thought state is with the use of perception control and advanced mind control, where the people will manufacture for themselves the individual and collective world as guided by those systems of control. The basic idea, although there could be innumerable interpretations, is to create a specific set of hard experiences with which to foment self-growth of the individuals inside it, with it fomenting the expansion of consciousness of its members and of the entire universe all the way to Source itself. Various races, departments, and tasks. This subject is difficult to precise because many races do multiple things, as races are made up of people with different levels of expertise and interests. Also, certain species or civilizations will undergo or perform different tasks depending on the place or location in space where they may be, and the task and objectives of every specific location. But concerning Earth specifically, and simplifying things, Andromedans provide logistics and council locations from where command and control can be performed, although they are also known to be involved in spiritual, ethical, and technological aid when needed. Arcturians provide basically the same as Andromedans, but being more technologically inclined, they also perform tasks that go with their expertise as prime constructors, or just about everything, with a clear spiritual counseling and guidance side as well. Antarians provide military-like supply lines for everyone, as well as provide a wide surveillance net around the entire solar system here. Centaurians, also known as Alphratans, provide main military-like power and action in a police-like way, keeping Earth isolated as much as possible, as dictated by what was decided by Council within the Federation. Other races, such as Syrians, among others, provide a wide array of functions, such as backup and guidance for the rest of the members. The amount and variety of star races' cooperation for Earth is large and varied. Taygetan involvement with Federation across time. The Pleiadian M45 Alcyone Council that unites and sees for the interests of all the races and or civilizations, interstellar or not, inside or within the Pleiades star system, was formed independently from the Federation and only joined a long time afterwards and in bulk, meaning that all the races that are members of Alcyone joined Federation through Alcyone Council and not independently one by one. And this is the case with Taygeta. Through time, Taygeta, locally known as MoMA, has participated in Federation affairs independently, not through Alcyone, aiding exploration, space mapping cartography, scientific advances, and it also has participated in military actions enforcing Federation space law, as was the case with the Tiamat Wars. Taygetan's direct participation with the Federation has not always been continuous, only occurring when their interests cross or the Federation directly asked for their help or participation. More recently, on Earth, Taygetans have been actively involved in Earth affairs since 12,500 BC, and with a heavy activity spike since 1919, participating in space law non-intervention law enforcement since 1953 to 2018. From 2017 to 2021, when I write these words, it has played a role more of observation, as in 2018, Taygeta itself underwent an internal political transformation when HRH Alanim I of Temer was set up by the people of Taygeta as their queen. She is less inclined towards military solutions and more into solving all things with mind, consciousness, and spirituality. This change has upset many parts or interests in shady levels within the Federation, as just before 2018, Taygeta was one of the main military forces at the service of the Federation, and as soon as Alanim I came to power, everything changed towards the spiritual. Deterioration of their relationship and why. This leads us to a clear deterioration in the relationship between the Federation, meaning specifically the level of the Federation appointed to oversee Earth and its needs or problems. Be it not only the Federation headquarters in Viera, which holds almost no real power, or the real overseers of this area where Earth is found in, and those would be Saturn-based Federation headquarters. As Taygeta underwent a clear change in interests, with Alanim I in control, Federation lost one of its greatest military branches, because although Taygeta has few inhabitants, roughly 38 million in total, its military might is great, and only second to the Angan in all the M45 star system. Alanim did not see the need to maintain such a large military, because she saw no need for it, as all foreseeable threats and differences at hand could be solved with other means and not with raw power. Another factor is that, as Taygeta is part of Alcyone Council, other races, like the Engan, were already enforcing protection and patrol coverage in the general area of M45. This caused a withdrawal of Taygetan's participation in Federation affairs concerning joint military operations, especially around Earth, where the Centauri Alfratans were appointed by the Federation to take over the place Taygeta had left vacant. Thank you for all these explanations. I have a short question. You said Taygeta withdrew their military assistance to the Federation. Why is it called military if there is no one out there to fight, really? Because the larger Federation, and smaller levels especially, are still very much into a protection mentality awaiting regressive races. The problem of the regressive races being spawned on and from Earth is seen and understood from a wider perspective of awareness. From the Federations, in what is called 5D, they still see and worry about invasion, regressive races, and man-eating reptiles. You can see this as a density problem. From 5D Federation, they see regressives about to invade. From a wider perspective, it looks to be that all those concepts are being spawned on and from Earth. You could even call Earth the nucleus of evil from where it all emanates. Talk about exporting negative influence and ideas. That is what we see, and ever more and more clearly. The second problem also occurred in 2018, when a Taygetan named Swaruu of Era legally removed herself from Taygeta and from the Federation, looking for liberty and independence from legal ties that she felt were interfering with her work. Claiming Federation space law, specifically the Prime Directive, was unfair on many levels and even criminally permissive with regards to the people of Earth and their problems, basically ignoring their real necessities and concerns as individuals and as a collective. At that time, Swaruu of Era was acting as a personal advisor of HRH Alanim I of Temer, who was also very concerned with the problems of the people of Earth concerning many legal and not legal attitudes of the Federation that they both decided were unethical and even bordering with being plain regressive, as will be explained further. Taygeta, under Alanim I, was constantly going against the Federation's policies regarding Earth and regarding the participation of M45 through Alcyone Council, given that the Federation requested, almost imposed, the need for further military participation and enforcement around the Hyades stars cluster, insisting that Taygeta must enforce the area in a military manner in joint participation with other races, because Taygeta to this day has a large colony on planet Sindriel, orbiting the star Aldebaran, that is in the Hyades star system jurisdiction, and also requested further renewal of Taygetan's military participation, enforcing the area around solar system Sol 13 and subsequently Earth. This Federation's request was directly denied by Alanim I during several meetings held in the biosphere Viera, Federation's headquarters for Earth's affairs. During that set of meetings that took place between the years 2019 and 2020, a series of mutual accusations took place between Taygeta and Federation representatives that accused Taygeta of violating Prime Directive rules concerning Earth regarding direct contact with humans, starseeds or not, and having given them a vast amount of information disclosing Federation's inner structure and workings, as well as innumerable subjects concerning the structure of life in general outside Earth, and the sketchy but clear basics for all kinds of technology that must be kept from humans. Technology that is sensitive or above civilization level. Also, accusing Taygetans of making their own rules, starting with Swaruu of Erra's legal outing from Taygeta and from Federation, legally becoming an independent species, break away from Taygetans, and also because of several violations to Earth airspace by Taygetan fighter-class spacecraft that continuously used trickery and flight rule loopholes to get away with flying all over the place outside the rule of law. Two examples of this are fighter ship marked with the pennant code number TPT 150 that continuously passed as human aircraft, even participating with other aircraft's pilots and control tower chats, while letting himself be seen on radar and visually as well, with absolutely no regards to its above-human capacity airspeed that said radars were clearly indicating. Also, control tower flybys at high speed being seen by countless humans, as occurred over O'Hare Chicago Airport 3 times, once in 2006 and then again in 2017, and yet another in 2019. And also control tower high-speed flyby pass over LAX Airport in 2019, Kila. Another is the fighter ship marked with the pennant code number TPE 157 that in at least 3 times hacked aircraft internet ATG connectivity to engage in direct audio contact with humans in the know of who the pilot was. Audio with Kal-El. Taygeta, on the other side, accused Federation of criminal negligence against the human race, only regarding the legal needs and rights of people outside Earth, involved or not with being or participating inside Earth as humans in any modality, starseeds, walk-ins, or step-downs. I am referring to the Federation members, people who are somehow in 5D and in 3D playing human, when in fact they are not human, and besides not being human, they also are Federation diplomats. This is speculating, but I do see it as happening. Now, to what degree do they remember who they are, or even tell the truth, is questionable. Don't count on them telling the truth of what is going on with the Federation. All I see regarding those official and socially accepted ufologists, members of their club, where they go about reinforcing each other, is that they are either being played by 3-letter agencies or they are in for the money and fame. I do not see anything remotely indicating that they have real information regarding Federation, among many other things. We further accused the Federation of disregarding the needs of the inhabitants of Earth in favor of recognizing and even honoring the politicians regarded as legally appointed to those positions of power by the human population itself by democratic elections. When the Federation does not take into account the falsehood of such democratic elections and their entire system as being clearly rigged all over Earth, making them invalid as they were conducted with the use of trickery and lies. Accusing the Federation of not only disregarding this clear and undeniable fact, but of also insisting that the population of Earth did give their consent to be represented by such politicians, whether said elections were conducted with trickery or not. Furthermore, we are accusing the Federation of not understanding the invalidity and obsolescence of democracy as an unfair system based on counting simple, uninformed votes and not on intelligent and objective decisions, and not understanding the structures of secret societies that are manipulating and misguiding humanity to their convenience with the use of more trickery and plain lies, using unfair systems of mind control and of population control that are in direct violation of the prime directive the Federation itself has said it enforces in the first place. Federation sees Taygetans as reckless, disobedient, and that go about making up their own rules. Taygetans basically see the Federation's leaders, whoever they are, because it is all shady, as acting in a hypocritical and biased manner, with total disregard to real, down-to-earth human population needs, in favor of their own points of view and even interests.
I hope you're enjoying the video. Here, a very short conversation with Aneka, where she's expressing her frustration with the Federation. This conversation happened in September 2020. We have many conversations like this starting from 2018, but this is an example of one of those conversations where they are clearly demonstrating they are not happy with the Federation.
We do not agree with how the Federation handles things with the Earth. That's why we differ. They say that they are very loving, even with us, and they say they support us and all that, but when the time comes, they only criticize and see us with a long list of not very good adjectives. They love us in their own way, and at the same time, they're tired of us and our way of seeing things and our priorities.
Why are they tired of you?
Of us in the councils, constantly boycotting their initiatives.
What initiatives are those?
To guide a new world order, to raising the difficulty level to living on Earth, to promote the extraction of more souls, to allow humans to do whatever they want in the name of free will, while manipulating them on the other hand, all with the excuse that this is what the same people want while they are outside of 3D. So, here is a disagreement, because the Federation says that people are the same in 3D or 5D or any D, and we say that although they are, the fact that they do not remember creates another point of attention that is summarized in that being in 3D. They are effectively other people to what they were in 5D, but according to them, It seems that upon entering Earth, free will is renounced in some way, and the Federation turns much of its anger or discontent against Yasgi, being that they do not recognize Yasgi as Swaruu, or only recognize her when it suits them. And that starts another controversy with them. Why we listen to a girl? They always accommodate things at their convenience. Then Alanim gets angry and ends up boycotting the initiatives, since for them to proceed, they need unanimity of a group or complex of council organizations representing various cultures. That is to say, unanimity of large councils, not of isolated members. But since Alanim already represents Alcyone, that is to say, all Pleiades, and Alanim listens to the baby, this is politically complicated because the Federation argues that it's a single race or culture that boycotts everything, being a race with very little population as well, and not like the Council of Alcyone itself. But legally, they must take Alanim as the representative because that is what the Council of Alcyone itself has decided. And we return to the same thing, that the Federation says that girl, practically a baby, is manipulating all Pleiades M45 politically, and them accordingly. The term baby for Yasgi comes from them.
When you say promoting the extraction of more souls, do you mean killing?
To motivate them to be so tired of life there that they prefer to die.
And aren't there more Pleiadians races close by?
There are more Pleiadians here, but they do not offer their service before the Federation Council for Terrestrial Affairs as representatives of M45 directly, but only as representatives of their culture only, while Alanim represents both Taygeta and the Pleiades in general.
It must be frustrating to be present at these councils with them.
Well, we're up here with them. I have already developed a very strong aversion to being in their presence or just talking to them. As an allergy, they lower my frequency, they annoy me, they hurt me. They want the heads of everyone on this ship.
And what happens when you are not all unanimous?
The initiative does not proceed, and it is postponed to the next meeting. And legally, they try to turn it around between each meeting. Or they try to buy Alanim with more support for Taygeta or things like that. But irritatingly for them, Taygeta does not need help. Or they start to say that it is not Taygeta's business what they do, or the Pleiades in general. Or they want to put a legal stop against the Council of Alcyone. Or they also wish to speak to the Council of Alcyone by jumping over Alanim.
The Council of Alcyone, who are they really?
The Alcyone Council is 5D, with live and physical representatives from each of the cultures across M45. These are about 12 cultures in total, because each one of them represents its subcultures, or the underdeveloped and pre-industrial cultures under its jurisdiction.
And this is the base of the deterioration of the relationship between Taygeta and the Federation that led to a legal separation, at least in part, in February 2021, where Taygeta only recognizes the Federation through the Alcyone Council and not as direct, independent members. This as a legal attempt by H.R.H. Allen I to remove Taygeta from Federation rule and the lack of flexibility. It is also important to mention that all the decisions regarding all this were exposed in full detail to the people of Taygeta by Allen I and her team, and through the High Council in Temer. And it has been the decision of the people of Taygeta to accept and carry on the proposals of Allen I, as decided by Step Council means all over the 4 planets of Taygetan civilization and culture. So Allen I is enacting the will of her people.
Well, this concludes the video number 1. Now, everything we are sharing with you here, we are not asking you to believe this and not believe others. We are actually saying that you must consider all angles. Study and look at all aspects of the situation, because the truth is not black or white. It's not the Federation is good or bad, and they are good people and bad people. Thinking that this is just a matter of black and white, the Federation is good, the Federation is bad, that's naive and very simplistic, and only actually reflects the human tendency, mentality of dividing everything into black and white, a dualistic approach, while the truth is so much more complex. As Yaski herself said last night, if you want the truth is complicated. If it's simple, it's not the truth. It's only a simplified point of view that someone sees as truth. And we are also fully accepting that there is still much more to the picture. And Yaski herself is acknowledging that there is so much more she still doesn't know, and no one really truly knows. There are things here and levels that even she doesn't comprehend in its entirety. But she's doing her best to present and share what she does know. Thank you very much, and do watch the next video. This series continues. Until next time. Thank you.